Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Wahal Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. Honest your brothers that be pushing his truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So this is going to be a quick video going into the current state of affairs between Iraq, Iran, and subsequently Israel. So you got this situation brewing, okay, tensions between the Iranians and the Israelis, and also to the Iraqi government is involved in there. And it's important to remember what the scripture says, in that the least of the flock shall draw them out. So I'm going to try get that within the background as I continue with this video. So pretty much tensions has been brewing as a result of this so-called nuclear deal that they had between the United States and Iran. Okay, and basically, you know, over time, all right, you've had it to where them tensions, okay, have been brewing between Iran and Israel. So, you know, now it's getting more and more to a thing where basically, okay, you're seeing more and more moves being made by both countries to do away with each other. Okay, let me just get this precept in the background. The least of the flock, okay, shall draw them out. Okay, so bear with me whilst I get this precept. So the book of Jeremiah 49:20 says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom. All right, and who are these Edomites? Remember, you know, you got to remember what the scripture says, and you got to look at the judgment that the Lord has got out there for Edom. All right, you go into the book of Obadiah, it says, he that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock. Okay, you tell me who that's talking about. Okay, there's only one nation of people that have got that connotation within their so-called, okay, nationality, all right, of going back onto the mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, which is a clue. Okay, so it says here, therefore fear the counsel of the Lord that he has taken against Edom. Okay, the cave dwellers. The proof for that is the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter, the 3rd verse. And it says, and his purpose, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, which is the principal one of the principal towns. In fact, you know, this is the blue letter. I could just click onto this, which I'm doing in the background here. All right, so Teman, or Taman. All right, this is dealing with hold on. Okay, so Teman, that's dealing with one of the grandson, okay, a son of Eliphaz, okay, the grandson of Noah, and he became, you know, like a head, okay, within the families of Esau. All right, I was looking for more information on that, but really that's like one that I think that was a city. Basically, that's the Germans today. Okay, but you know, this is talking about Esau. All right, and it says 49. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Which is, when you go into this thing of the least, okay, that brings to mind scripture says that talks about the Amalekites, how they was gonna be the least, man. Basically, they was gonna be the lowest form of a human. All right, they're more animal than human. And who are the Amalekites? Well, if we know that if we know who Esau is, who's the head tribe of Esau, okay, it's gonna be them Israelis, man. It's pretty much, when you check out how the world is ruled right now, it's ruled by Amalekites. Them bankers that you go out there, they're Amalekites, man. Okay, so this thing that you're seeing out here is playing out is a thing of prophecy. So let's start off with some stuff that's happening here, some context, if you will. This was the 2nd of September. It says the US dollar completely ditched in trade between Iran and Iraq. So as they're doing deals between each other, they're not doing them in US dollars anymore. Okay, because of the sanctions and so on and so forth that the United States has placed upon them. Okay, now this is gonna take you're gonna see the picture build up as we go through this. All right, it says the United States dollar is no longer used in Tehran and Baghdad in bilateral trade. giving way to the euro and local currencies, as well as direct barter for goods. Head of Iran and Iraq Chamber of Commerce, Ale, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I have revealed, and it says the US dollar has been removed from the list of currencies used between Iran and Iraq, all right, in trade and transaction, and they're using the Iranian rial, euro, and Iraqi dinar. Okay, so let's continue. It says, apart from switching from the US dollar to alternative currencies, Iranian and Iraqi merchants have been emerging in barter operations, according to the officials. The banking system, however, still needs improvements, since only a fraction of the trade between the two countries actually goes through banks. And they go on and they get into the whole thing of it. But pretty much that's the state of affairs, okay, by way of what? By way of the different sanctions that you're getting from the United States. So they've just done away with the dollar, okay? Now, meanwhile, you got it to where this is popping off. Because remember, all this is happening, the sanctions are all happening because of what? Because how the Israeli feels about their so-called security. They feel insecure having these dudes in Iran having nuclear weapons right at Israel's doorstep. Of which, when you check out what Israel is nothing more than an American air base within the Middle East. Okay, this is what you call control. It says Israel warns it could attack Iranian. So this is so they had the sanctions. That was what the United States imposed upon them. Okay, and they found a workaround. So now they're gonna have to go up to the next step. Okay, which is, if you check out when this is released, this was released on the 3rd of this month. So today, and then the one I read before was the day before. It says Israel warns it could attack Iranian military assets within Iraq. Now remember, I read that book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter on the 20th verse. Well, that comes back into this particular precept. Okay, this all ties in, because when you tie it back, what do you find out? Okay, you find out that Israel has got the backing of the United States. That's why we read about the United States. I remember what happened to Gaddafi when they started not using the dollar. They got bombed off the map. Okay, which is the same thing you're gonna see happen with what? With the Iranians. But see, the Israelis have got the backing of the United States, and the Iranians have got the backing of the Russians, man. Okay, so this is gonna lead onto what? Onto all-out World War III. This is why the scripture says the least of the flock, the Israelis, okay, which are not Israelites, but rather Edomites, Amalekites. Okay, so the Amalekites warned they could attack Iranian military assets in Iraq. Okay, leading to what? Leading to them to lead everybody into a World War III. That's why I read that scripture at the beginning. It says, in response to what would be called a big headache for the Israeli Prime Minister, and I might have did a video on this. Okay, in response to what would be what would be a big headache for the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Okay, military advisors to Baghdad, Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Liban indicated on Monday that it could launch an airstrike on suspected military assets. Okay, in the widely done in war, okay, torn Syria, because they've had this war out there in Syria, and basically that that didn't work out how the United States wanted it to work out. So now they're having to use other means. Okay, so let me just check in the background here, because I'm losing track of what I've done on what. Okay, so let me just so the last video I did, basically I was going into what Iran, okay, stuns enemies by moving ballistic missiles, okay, by moving you can hear it in the background. Okay, Israel stuns enemies by moving ballistic missiles to Iraq, okay, within easy striking distance of Tel Aviv. So what's been happening after that? You've got it to where the Israelis now have made a move. The Israeli warns it could attack Iranian military assets in Iraq. Okay, so let's continue. So I was beginning to think I've done repetitious material there, but Barak Shai, I had it Okay, so it says last week reported that according to Reuters, Iran had transferred, had transferred short-range ballistic missiles to its allies in Iraq over the last several months. This revelation comes as tensions between Washington and Tehran are at the highest points, and as aggressive sanctions continue to crippling Iran's economy. This is why I read this article a second ago. Okay, you see how it all ties in. All right, so continuing, it says, and after threats and counter threats over Tehran laying claims to vital Straits of Hormuz oil waterway over the past week, through which 1/3 of the world's oil passes. That's what I reported the other day. It says Israel views Iran's regional expansion dangerous for its well-being, as it frequently launched airstrikes in Syria. All right, it says, we certainly monitoring everything that is happening in Syria regarding Iranian threats. We're not limiting ourselves just to Syrian territory. So now they're going to be what? They're going to be exploring the Iraqi territory where you got the Iranians in there. Okay, but like I said in the last video, I ain't no geopolitical expert or anything. All right, you just make what you want to make out with this. But when you got countries like these coming up against each other, major oil exporters, okay, and you got Israel, which is backed by America, and then the major oil exporter in Iran, then you're gonna have things popping off, man. Okay, i.e. the World War III to the end that what? Jeremiah the 49th chapter on the 20th verse is gonna be fulfilled. So Lord's will, that was of edification. But I'm gonna say all praise unto Yahweh, Shimi Al-Shai, Wahara Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. Honor she brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.